I just had surgery. All I wanted to do was take my pain pills and watch my favorite live action Disney movie. But no, Disney had to go and make it illegal. Today we're talking about Togo. What is Togo? Togo was a dog back in 1925 that saved a bunch of kids' lives, and then the newspapers gave all of the credit to another dog by the name of Balto, and Balto ends up getting a statue in New York City.
Doesn't really seem fair.
And then in 1995, Steven Spielberg and Kevin Bacon came out with an animated movie that wasn't even slightly historically accurate, also giving Balto all of the credit.
Okay, well now you're just being a dick.
But then in 2019, something incredible happened. Disney came out with a live-action movie that was actually fairly historically accurate that corrected the record and gave Togo the credit that he deserved. And if that wasn't cool enough, it starred Willem Dafoe in a dope-ass jacket, and the dog that played Togo was actually the real Togo's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson. It was fantastic. It was literally one of my favorite movies ever. And then in September of 2024, Disney comes out of left field and just does the Thanos snap and just deletes it from history. It's not a thing anymore. You can't watch it. And we're gonna get into all of it right after a word from our sponsor.
Delete me. So good news, this works well on rabbits.
Yeah, it's 4570 government.
Why do they call it government?
Because nobody fucks like the government.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna teach these rabbits about taxes.
I love that woman. This video is brought to you by Delete Me. All right, here's the deal. Super simple, straightforward business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure that data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does that even mean? Okay, here's the entire internet and every free service on the planet inside of a nutshell, okay? There's a saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. What that means is pretty much anything on the internet that you use, that's a service, whether that be Google, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it, okay? It's all an app. So one of two things is happening. They're either gonna feed you ads, and that's how that company makes money since their service is free, or they're going to collect your personal information, then turn around and sell it to data brokers on the internet, and then they're going to turn around and sell it to whoever buys it, and next thing you know, you're getting 17,000 robocalls every single day. And that's where Delete Me comes in. They will look through all the major data brokers and find the ones that are selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then they are legally obligated to comply. And then they'll continue to monitor these data brokers, and if they get your information again, Delete Me will submit an opt-out request again. Basically, you're paying Delete Me to get rid of all the downsides of all of the free stuff on the internet, which I think is absolutely worth it. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. Okay, here's the deal. In 1925, in a very remote town way up in Alaska called Nome, there's an outbreak of diphtheria. Now, diphtheria has a very high mortality rate for kids. It's literally called the children's plague. And if they don't get an antitoxin, a lot of these kids are going to end up dying. And to make things worse, it's winter, it's negative 50 degrees outside, and the only way to get this antitoxin to these kids is to go to the nearest major city 674 miles away with dog sled teams and then bring it all the way back to Nome. And according to the 1995 animated movie, all of it was done by a half dog, half wolf by the name of Balto, who was accompanied by his accomplice that was a talking goose, which obviously that's all nonsense. The only thing realistic about that movie was there was in fact a diphtheria outbreak in 1925, and there was in fact a dog that was named Balto, but he was not half wolf. He was 100% Siberian Husky. And he was bred by a guy by the name of Leonard Seppala, who's credited with actually being the first dude to bring Siberian Huskies over to America. And Leonard Seppala is a badass in the world of dog sleds, okay? This guy has like one of the best dog sled teams. He's one of the best breeders. At one point, he was in the Winter Olympics. He's winning competitions. He's like top of his game. He is one of the legends of dog sledding. And he actually ended up selling Balto to a guy by the name of Gunnar Kaysen because Balto wasn't good enough to make it onto his sled team. He was too slow. The lead dog in his sled team for almost a decade was a dog by the name of Togo. Togo was a very sick puppy. He was the only puppy in his litter. And because he was so sick, Seppala's wife actually, kept the dog in the house, didn't let him go out in the kennel, and kind of babied this dog. So once this dog was in better health, he was kind of spoiled, and he was a troublemaker, and he was a little bit rebellious, and Seppala just didn't really like him because he wouldn't ever listen. He was untrainable, and because of that, Seppala ends up selling him to be a pet for somebody else. And then one day, Togo, about 2 weeks after being a house pet, jumps through the kitchen window and runs back to Seppala's house and goes back to the kennel. At which point, Seppala's like, well, fuck, okay, I guess you're not leaving, but you're still not part of my dog sled team. So then Seppala would go out, take his dog sled team, training, doing events, and Togo would actually dig his way out of the kennel and run alongside the sled team. And eventually he's like, fuck it, I guess we'll see how good you are as a sled dog. And he ends up being the lead dog. And Seppala said out of all the dogs he ever had, Togo was the absolute best.
I'm going to name him Togo.
After the Admiral, an underdog. Named for an underdog.
Okay, fast forward to 1925 with the gnome diphtheria outbreak. Togo is 12 years old at this point in time, okay? The average sled dog only makes it to 8 years old. Togo is 12, and he is still Sepala's lead dog. Now, the serum is already on its way from all the other sled dog teams, and Sepala and Togo are in Nome, Alaska. So they're gonna send out their best guy, which is Sepala, and he's gonna leave to go out and meet the other mushers. And that's on January 28th, 1925. So 2 days after Sepala leaves, Sepala is going to cover the biggest distance. He has to go 170 miles to the pickup point and start heading back. And 2 days after he leaves on January 30th, another sled dog team is going to leave, and they're going to meet Sepala. He's going to hand it off, and they're going to start bringing it back. And then the next day on January 31st, another sled dog team is going to leave, and that's the one with Balto, and they're going to pick it up and bring it back to Nome. So Sepala is doing the bulk of the work. Not only that, but when Sepala leaves, because the clock is ticking, these kids are sick and they're gonna die unless they get this antitoxin, Sepala elects to take a shortcut across the Norton Sound. The Norton Sound is a very small inlet of the Bering Sea that freezes over in winter, but the ice is very thin and it is not stable. It is not safe to go out on this, but the clock is ticking and Sepala's gotta save these kids. So on the way there, he crosses the Norton Sound, makes it to the pickup point, picks up the serum, heads back, and he's gonna cross the Norton Sound again. And the Norton Sound is absolutely terrifying. It's 25 miles of just straight ice. Thin ice that's cracking and breaking apart underneath him and his dogs the entire time, both times he does it. At one point on the way back with the serum, all of the ice ends up breaking, and Sepala and his sled team are literally on a gigantic free-floating piece of ice. And Togo, because he's so intelligent, sees the closest piece of land that he can see and brings the dogs hauling ass across, and they end up leaping and pulling the entire sled with them across open water, lands on land, and then drags the sled with it, saving the entire run. Sepala, the dogs, the kids, everybody. Togo literally saves the day. So during his run, Sepala has to go 170 miles there to pick up the serum, crossing 25 miles of frozen water, comes back, crosses another 25 miles of frozen water, by far and away the most dangerous stretch of the race, and he ends up hitting 90 miles back towards Nome before the next sled team ends up meeting him. That guy starts heading back towards Nome. He rides for about a day, and then Gunnar and Balto meet him, and Gunnar and Balto finish the last 50 miles back into Nome. Okay, just so we're on the same page, Togo and Sepala went 260 miles, Balto and Gunnar went 50, but because Gunnar was the last guy to ride into Nome, he got all of the credit along with Balto, and that's all the newspapers cared about. They gave all of the credit to those two. Okay, do you understand? Do you see why I like this movie now? It's literally a fat electrician video, but it's about a dog, and it was a movie made by Disney. Okay, this is my entire MO. That's the only reason I'm popular on the internet. I find an obscure historical figure that contributed greatly and did incredible things and got shafted in the annals of history, and nobody talks about him, and they give all the credit to somebody else that did less. And not only that, it even had Togo had a troubled youth where he would get in trouble, ends up being a terrific leader, and then the icing on the cake, it's his last hoorah. He's 12 years old. He's too old to be doing this, and he gets his, old age and treachery moment. The only thing that could make this movie more of a fat electrician video is if Togo had bad eyesight and had to lie on his eye exam to be the lead dog, and he drank too much booze. That's the only thing that could possibly make it better.
Got one more in you, pup.
And not only that, it kind of fixed the historical record in the common zeitgeist, right? Because that 1995 animated movie made everybody think that Balto did all of this by himself, which he absolutely didn't. And it did it to the degree that even today, as I'm filming this video, if you go to Balto's Wikipedia page, the top line said that Balto was Leonard Sepala's lead dog, which isn't true at all. It was never true. Leonard Sepala bred him and then sold him to somebody else because he was too slow. Leonard Sepala's lead dog was Togo. For the love of God, somebody please change that on Wikipedia. Okay, so you guys get it. It was a great movie, just on its own merit, and then on top of that, it was fairly historically accurate. There's a couple of things wrong with it, but by and large, it was pretty damn accurate. So why on earth would Disney just get rid of it to the point that it is now illegal to watch it? Apparently, when it comes to movies or films or like digital works of art, if it's not making the money that you wanted it to make, you can apparently just agree to never sell it again, never stream it again, never profit off of it in any way. And if you're willing to do that, you can write the entire thing off on your taxes as a loss.
That's some neat trick.
And that's exactly what Disney did in September of 2024 with like 25 to 30 movies, getting them a $1.5 billion tax break. Okay, do you understand how absolutely insane it is for them to be allowed to take a perfectly good asset and intentionally destroy it just so they get a tax write-off? It shouldn't even be legal. This literally undermines the entire concept of capitalism, okay? And I'm not bashing on capitalism. I'm the most hardcore capitalist you'll find in your entire life. But logically speaking, the entire proposition of capitalism is like, okay, you're an entrepreneur. You're gonna take your own money, your own time. You're gonna pour your blood, sweat, and tears into this project, your vision, and you're gonna create this product, and then you're gonna take it to market, and if it goes well, you deserve to make a ton of money because you're the one that footed all of the risk, and that's why we can justify millionaires and billionaires inside of society. That's the logic, whether you agree with it or not. Okay, but the flip side of that is if you take the risk and pour your blood, sweat, and tears into a project and it doesn't go that great, guess what? Get fucked. You lose money. That's how it's supposed to go. You don't get to destroy the asset and then write the entire thing off. That's complete and utter bullshit.
That's a write-off.
That's a write-off?
Yeah.
Do you even know what a write-off is?
Do you understand how fucked up something has to be for Disney to psyop me into kind of low-key advocating for taxes? It's insane. Okay, and where's the line? Where does this end? I mean, imagine if Sig Sauer, that company that invented the P320, that pistol that allegedly when you drop it, it just fires itself. What if they came out and they were like, hey, we invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in R&D and development of this gun, and we've decided it's not working out that great, so we're just gonna go ahead and never sell it again and write the entire project off.
I'll make that deal.
I own part of Bunker Branding, the company that makes all my shirts and my hats and my merch. I own a part of that company. If I walked into the warehouse in Bernie, Texas, gathered up all the shirts that we had made, hauled them out to the parking lot, threw a Molotov cocktail at it, started a bonfire, and roasted marshmallows, should I be allowed to write all of that off as a loss, or am I just an asshole and an idiot? I'm gonna go with the second one. Okay, that's the gig. That's capitalism. When you win big, and when you lose, guess what? Tough shit, you fucking lost. The end. You don't get to hit backspace and delete history. Actually, if you would read the entire article, Disney cites that it costs a lot of money to house and curate a large catalog of videos. Okay, look at me. That is a bullshit excuse, okay? How on earth would some electrician from Iowa know that? Because me and my friends got together and started our own streaming platform, pepperbox.tv, and it's got like 73,000 subscribers, and we've got a ton of videos up on there. Guess what? It does not cost that much money to have an extra video sitting on the servers. And we also make exclusive content just for that platform, just like Disney Plus does. I would never even remotely fathom coming up with an exclusive piece of content, paying to have it made, putting it on my platform, and then it didn't get enough views on my platform, so I then delete it and have it as a tax write-off. It just doesn't even make sense. And if you still don't believe me, look at the platform we're probably on right now, YouTube. Any person on the planet can get on Google, start a YouTube account, upload hundreds of gigabytes worth of video, not get any views, not have their channel monetized, taking up space on Google's servers, and guess what? YouTube's still making a metric fuck ton of money. But on top of that, it gets worse. It gets even more unethical because a significant portion of actors and actresses, when they are agreeing on how they're gonna get paid to work, to be an actor and actress in a film, they agree that they're gonna get paid part of their salary in royalties. That means every time that video gets a view, they get a little bit of money, and that's how they make their living. But when Disney comes out and just nukes the movie from existence so nobody can stream it, nobody can buy DVDs, nobody can watch it whatsoever, guess how much money they end up getting paid? Absolutely fucking nothing, even though they put all of the work into it.
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed?
Going back to my Bunker Branding example, if I go into my t-shirt warehouse, haul all my t-shirts outside, have a bonfire, roast marshmallows over the top of it like an asshole, I don't get to turn around to my employees and be like, sorry guys, I didn't sell any t-shirts. Go fuck yourselves, you're not getting paid. No, it's not how that shit works. Okay, the entrepreneur, the person that's assuming all the risk, has the obligation, morally and ethically, to make sure the employees that work on a project get paid the amount of money that was agreed upon for that work. Okay, that's how capitalism works, and Disney is messing up the entire system. I can't believe how mad I am about this dog movie, okay? And the thing that makes it worse is even if this video goes like super viral and Disney like wants to remake the movie because they realize they fucked up, they're gonna ruin the movie, okay? Because they're gonna go into some Disney board meeting and they're gonna be like, wow, that is an incredible story. Why on earth would we get rid of that movie? We should remake the entire thing. You know what? However, I don't like the notion that there was a white dude with a bunch of purebred Siberian Huskies. What if instead we cast Anne Hathaway to be Leonard Seppala, and then we made Togo be a pug, and then on the dog sled team there was a ferret and a cat and some 14-year-old e-girl that thinks she's a dog. Not only is Disney ruining capitalism, they're disrespecting the memory of Togo, okay? He was 12 years old. He was an old man that ran 260 miles through a snowstorm across a frozen fucking ocean to save a bunch of kids' lives. Then he never got the credit that he deserved for it, and then Kevin Bacon and Steven Spielberg fucked up the common zeitgeist of history, making everybody think that Balto's punk ass did it, and then Disney comes out of left field and they're like, you know what, we're gonna fix the historical record, and then 4 years after that, they nuke that from existence because it doesn't meet the bottom line of Bob Iger's fucking spreadsheet. Okay, all I wanted to do was come home from surgery, sit in my lazy boy, take my pain pills, and watch Leonard Seppala and Togo save a bunch of kids, but I can't because Disney is trying to fuck up capitalism. And now I gotta go get on eBay and see if I can find an old DVD copy of this movie so it's not lost forever. I guess, thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. Ooh, 1866, add to cart. That was a weird video. It was like a Fat Electrician video inside of a Fat Files video. It was like Fatception.